what's the wildest thing a passenger has ever left in an Uber?
So on one of the recent researches, or rather one of the surveys when we checked for lost and found, it said chicken. So before I joined Uber, I came from a complete different background, and it was almost a 180-degree turn that I had to take, joining from fashion to tech. So we continuously build in-app features to ensure the rider and the driver is safe. From a driver point of view, we also have something called fatigue alert. The Pan-American highways may be a little bit more predictable, whereas our lanes are highly unpredictable. But the machine learnings and the algorithms that we have inbuilt and the continuous feedback loops that we have with the drivers and the riders enable us to ensure that we offer a smooth and efficient way for them to move about.
Hello and welcome back to TechVerse, the podcast where innovation drives transformation. Each episode, we talk about how technology is changing our futures, impacting our lives and our industries. On this episode, we will be talking about the mobility industry and Uber's transformative journey here in Sri Lanka. Joining us today is Kaushalya Gunaratne, the country head for Uber Mobility here in Sri Lanka. She has been instrumental in how Sri Lankans move, earn and connect in the mobility industry. Whether you are someone who is curious to know how tech works hand in hand with mobility, as well as how female leadership works in a global business or anything related tech, I can guarantee that this is the episode for you. Hello Kaushalya, thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi Dasni, it's my pleasure.
Kaushalya, before we dive in, can I know what's new with you and what's new with Uber?
Well, what's new with me is not necessarily new because I'm running behind my son who has a busier schedule than me.
Adorable.
And what's new with Uber? So, Uber is such a dynamic environment that we are in. And it's ever so changing, understanding the local nuances and making sure the global product is catered to the local audience in a way that it is adaptable to the local audience. So it's not necessarily new, but it's a newness that we bring in, but it is our everyday life at Uber.
Wonderful. Switching into something related to tech, Uber's navigation and their algorithms go hand in hand, and it's quite a complex algorithm because navigation is something that needs absolute accuracy. So if I were to ask you, how has your tech team really adapted to Sri Lanka's busy and bustling lanes as opposed to a Pan-American highway?
Well, interesting question, Dasni, because the Pan-American highways may be a little bit more predictable, whereas our lanes are highly unpredictable. But the machine learnings and the algorithms that we have inbuilt and the continuous feedback loops that we have with the drivers and the riders enable us to ensure that we offer a smooth and efficient way for them to move about.
Wonderful. Also, Kaushalya, I recently traveled out of Sri Lanka and came back, and I realized that there is a very well displayed Uber counter right at the Bandaranaike International Airport. This certainly makes mobility easy, especially for tourists when they come into Sri Lanka. How has that transformation been? Was that challenging to really get it done?
Absolutely challenging, but we have a really good partnership with the Sri Lankan Aviation Authority, and with their support, last year in August we were able to set up the Uber pickup point. I think what we've realized is, even globally, one of the biggest challenges that a passenger that visits any country is to know what the price, or to be able to have that predictability to book a cab from the airport to the destination. And with Uber coming into airports, what we have been able to offer is upfront fare and more predictable prices. So now, even if you may not necessarily be in the Sri Lankan airport, but from elsewhere, you know how much you need to pay because your fares are transparent, there's more transparency, and there's more predictability. So it's been a very interesting journey, and yeah, we are looking forward to improving your experience at the airport. So do give me your feedback next time you're at the Bandaranaike airport.
Absolutely, I will. Now, coming to a question which is a must ask from someone who represents Uber. When we often book a ride, we hear this phrase, cash or card. What do you think the reason is behind this very common query, and what is the bottleneck when it comes to this issue?
Thanks, Dasni, for asking. I'm going to throw some numbers over here.
Right.
So a recent study shows that about good 40 to 45% of the adult population has some access to digital payment.
Right.
And the Bankers Association has reported about 30 to 35% of their base owns a credit or a debit card. But it's interesting that 80% of the consumer transactions happen through cash. And that's a reflection that we see here in Uber. Even though the consumer base may have the possibility to pay via digitally, the drivers or the local, the society is so used to cash transactions that they feel cash transactions, cash in hand, is a requirement. So we at Uber have introduced a product called FlexPay. And this product has been in operation for a couple of years, and we just keep improving it, where right now a driver can cash out thrice a day. So they do have access to daily payment.
Right.
And it's a myth that if anyone says that drivers don't have access to daily payment. But it's just that we have a long way to go in terms of ensuring that the society as a whole adopts digital payment. But we are a huge believer. We believe that with time, with proper education, and with the right engagement with our driver partners, we will be able to drive that awareness. And your issue with card or cash, hopefully, will minimize.
I'm certainly hopeful. Kaushalya, given that this is our coffee segment, I've got to ask, are you a coffee lover?
Oh, I am. I think it's the second cup that I'm having.
Great. Love to hear it. So Kaushalya, when we talk about safety, it is a major concern, especially when it comes to mobility apps. How has Uber taken these measures in order to ensure safety for passengers and drivers alike?
Thanks, Dasni, for asking. So safety first is something that we believe in. We have a couple of features like ride check, where if you are not moving, you or the driver will get a prompt alert asking why you are not moving and if you are safe. You have an SOS button built on the Uber app where you can call the local emergency hotline through Uber. You also have a feature where you can share your ride with a loved one, so that even if you're getting your kids to come, you can now get them to share the ride, so you know whereabout they are. So we continuously build in-app features to ensure the rider and the driver is safe. From a driver point of view, we also have something called fatigue alert, which is if we notice a driver has been online or taking continuous trips, the driver gets an alert saying, we've noticed that you've been driving for a long time. Do you need to take some rest?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Moving on to a bit of an empowerment-related question. Kaushalya, you are a woman in tech, and your journey is certainly inspiring. So if I were to ask, in terms of Uber and getting more female riders involved, what has the app done in order to make this environment more female-friendly for the passengers and even the drivers?
Awesome. So yeah, women empowerment is something that Uber strongly believes, be it your recruits or be it your earner partners or your riders. Some of the safety features that I spoke about definitely has enabled females to feel much safer when taking a ride. Just this year, earlier this year, we launched a report with Oxford Economics on how ride-hailing has empowered the Sri Lankan woman to be part of the workforce. And even from a driver point of view, globally we have dedicated programs, but which is very much localized. So Diriyan Divyata is a local program that we have to ensure that our female driver partners are well taken care of. There's certain training that we would give them and very focused attention. So women empowerment is something that we strongly believe in.
Amazing. Kaushalya, can Uber go beyond just rides and ensure a more greener and more sustainable mode of transportation?
Yeah, it is. By 2040, it's Uber's vision to be 100% carbon emission. So already we've launched Uber Green in almost 100 plus cities around the world, and also just this year launched Uber Green in Sri Lanka. And we believe that sustainability is a team sport. So not just one company or an individual or even the government can drive sustainability. So organizations like Uber wants to be part of the sustainable journey where we give the drivers a platform to have sustainable cars. Maybe it's EV or maybe it's more hybrid cars, and that opportunity is given for the drivers and also for the riders. The consumers can now take that wise decision in terms of the mode of transport that they want to use.
And how well received is this approach, Kaushalya?
It definitely has been very well received because we've seen even more drivers coming onto the platform because now they have an identity in terms of be marked as a sustainable vehicle. The movement in terms of riders, yes, it's growing because sustainability is something that even for Sri Lanka that we are adapting ourselves into. So I wouldn't say that it has been well received 100%, but I think we are in a journey and we are glad that Uber, we've taken that step and given that platform and that foundation for that journey to commence and to continue.
Speaking of journeys, Kaushalya, Sri Lanka is also in a journey of digital transformation here in Sri Lanka. In your view, what more can mobility apps and what other tech requirements are needed for this journey to be a smooth one?
Awesome question. So Dasni, in 2021, we worked with Public First to launch a report where it said Uber has enabled almost 81 billion in terms of economy growth and economic contribution to Sri Lanka through the gig economy we've created. So this 81 billion which you're talking about is not necessarily only being created through the gig economy that Uber is directly contributing, but also through the ecosystem that it is building. Because of the convenience and the flexibility Uber provides to our earners, it was recorded that almost 1.3 million hours have been generated through the flexibility. And one of the things that we are very excited about, which we launched this year, is called Uber Springboard, where we identified 3 local entrepreneurs, one being just 16 years old, and we are giving them a mentorship program, or we actually gave them a mentorship program where we even took these entrepreneurs to our tech hub in Hyderabad, and where they were able to connect with some of our tech leadership, basically engage with other tech organizations based out of India, and to obviously expand their network and become great giants in Sri Lanka itself. So collectively the local economy can develop, and obviously from a technological point of view that we can continue to advance.
What a wonderful initiative. All right, Kaushalya, we're going to battle it out with a round of foosball. And a little birdie told me that you're a little competitive. Is that right?
Yeah, I think later. But this, I don't know whether my competitive skills could come out
I'm sure it will. Let the games begin.
Okay.
All right, Kaushalya, ready to wrap up with the rapid fire round?
Yes, I am. Let's go ahead.
Question 1. If your phone was to only have 3 apps, what 3 apps would you pick?
WhatsApp, Uber, and Chrome, so that I can access everything else.
Smart answer. What's one gadget you cannot live without?
The phone.
Artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and machine learning. Which of these 3 excites you the most?
I think I'll go for AI.
Any
Yeah.
reason why?
I think the way it's evolved, the way it's helped in terms of, tech as a whole, definitely. I think AI is going somewhere and it's just starting, right? Yeah.
Okay. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Be a sponge and absorb.
Good one. And what's one local food that you just cannot resist from ordering on Uber Eats?
I would say kottu.
Reasonable. And what's the best word that describes your leadership style?
I would like to think it's actually collaborative. Yeah. I hope I am. And yeah, I would say collaborative.
I see that, yes. What's the wildest thing a passenger has ever left in an Uber?
So on one of the recent researches, or rather one of the surveys when we checked for lost and found, it said chicken. I'm assuming it's
Chicken
not
as
a
in
real.
cooked, or-
I'm assuming it's a fresh chicken,
Right.
but the rider mentioned saying I lost my chicken.
Oh, okay. If Uber was a dance, what would it be?
Fast pace, I would go for a salsa.
Ah, okay. Are you a dancer as well?
Well, I did some Canadian dancing a couple of years ago, so I would say somewhat.
Lovely. And my final question. What bizarre vehicle would you love to have in the Uber fleet?
If it's from a Sri Lankan context, a bullock cart.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe to give that experience.
Wow. Kaushalya, this has been a truly inspiring conversation. There is no doubt that the impact that Uber has is immense, from driving digital transformation to even impacting Sri Lankan communities for the greater good. Before we leave, I'd like to ask, what piece of advice could you give to any young lady who is watching this right now, who is sort of considering to take a leap into the world of tech?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been great speaking to you too, Daphne, and I really enjoyed the conversation. So before I joined Uber, I came from a complete different background, and it was almost a 180-degree turn that I had to take, joining from fashion to tech. But it's about you being confident in terms of the decisions you take or the moves that you want to take, and provided that it's a calculative risk that you're taking, just don't doubt yourself. If you know and if you believe that a change is needed, dive into it.
Truly good words of advice. I'd like to take a moment to thank our wonderful sponsors for making all of these episodes possible. Colombo Coffee Company, our beverage partner, as well as Urel IT, our tech partner. Kaushalya, thank you so much for being here with us. Before you leave, I've got a few gifts ready for you. The first one is actually from our beverage partner, Colombo Coffee Company, something for you. And we also have one more gift from all of us here at TechVerse. It's quite a unique gift, a gift that lives on forever. It's a terrarium.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's really lovely. Thanks a lot, guys.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Kaushalya, I'd also like for you to place your signature on this TechVerse mug, which is a memento for us. So would you do me the honors?
Thank you.
To our listeners, if you loved this episode, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and stay connected with us on our social media platforms. TechVerse is your ultimate guide to tech innovation, and we are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, as well as YouTube Podcasts. Until next time, keep searching for the transformative power of technology. TechVerse, fueling your tech curiosity.